man be if you flash about me? I'm a black man. A red and black mystery or abortion in history.
I am a black man.
Labor antiquity, my slave suffocates.
I am a black man.
This crude covering of my creed, trapped in a state of apathy.
I am a black man.
Ready to face the truth.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Black Men Screaming. I'm Marc Lamont Hill, filling in for Maurice Carver. Today we have three very important people here, and I'd like them to introduce themselves, starting from my right.
My name is Royce Smith. I'm a trial attorney in Philadelphia.
I'm Dr. James Peterson. I'm professor of English at Bucknell University.
I'm LaRue Lewis, professor of sociology and black studies at the City College of New York.
Well, now we've gotten that out of the way, let's get talking here. For the past week, there's been a whole lot of attention paid to the Shaquanda Cotton case. Mm-hmm. For those who don't know, she's a sister, a young girl, 14 years old at the time, who got in an argument with a hall monitor, a school aide, a 54-year-old school aide. She pushes her, and it turns from being a school issue where she's suspended to a legal issue. Suddenly, she is in court. She gets convicted of assault on a public servant?
Public servant.
A public servant, and now she's sentenced to up to 7 years in a juvenile facility. We just found out this morning, though, that she has been released.
As of now, she's been released.
Okay, but nevertheless, there are a whole host of issues around this that I think we need to talk about. I mean, when you heard that she was locked up for this, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
For me, I immediately thought zero tolerance, right? The idea that everybody says in school, you do something wrong, we kick you out, right? And I thought, how can it be that a girl who's 14 years old gets in an altercation about entering school early and is literally removed from school for longer than a high school career would be? Right?
So I thought going to school early was good.
Exactly.
You know, we've come to a point in time where schools are so locked down and so clinical that you enter when you're supposed to, you exit when you're supposed to, you go through the metal detectors, and if you don't, clearly there are consequences. Yeah. And in this case, you have a 14-year-old sister who's now in the justice system.
That's right.
So, go ahead.
I mean, I kind of feel like, you know, Marian Wright Edelman has it right. You know, people kind of balked when she talked about the cradle to the prison pipeline, and she explained specifically what public education's role was in. Public education is a conduit for that pipeline. Here's the perfect example of that, because you have whether or not, you know, we could debate whether or not an assault by a girl that age should warrant that kind of sentencing, but whether she goes or whether she's out or not, it's still a beacon for all these other students to understand what role the criminal justice system plays in their educational process. You step out of line, you got to deal with the cops and the criminal justice system.
Which is crazy. Hey, Royce, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you as an attorney. Is it unusual for someone to be convicted of assault on a public servant? I didn't know that hall monitors were public servants. I mean, by that logic, is a hot dog person a public servant? I mean, who isn't a public servant in that context?
Actually, the way the statute is written in Texas, it actually used to only refer to teachers and principals and administrators. And back in 1994, it was amended to include all public servants, because I think, as part of what you talked about with zero tolerance, there's a movement, and this is true in all school districts and all states across the country, that we have to somehow put an end to the violence in schools and teach our kids to respect the process and to respect the people there. I mean, I understand that the possibility of serving a 7-year sentence for pushing someone and not even injuring them is outrageous and doesn't make any sense. But we still, the other side of that, you can't take this out of the context of the school violence problem nationally.
I mean, okay, so we have a school violence issue, but is the solution to school violence then to criminalize it? So we take things that, because people have been pushing hall monitors since they've been schools, right? But now we're taking things which were earlier a school-based issue, and now the criminal justice system is intervening in that. Is that a healthy thing? Will that help us in school violence? That's the other question.
Can I just real quick? I think it's important, and this is particularly in the case of this Texas statute and the zero tolerance policy they have there, that zero tolerance can't be viewed, or should never be viewed, as the one or the sole solution to the problem of violence in schools. I think it comes on the back end. After the act takes place, zero tolerance is there for punishment primarily, and then partially deterrence. I think when you talk about preventing the crime, zero tolerance is not going to do that. I don't think that's what it's designed for. And to the extent that people sell it that way, they're lying. It's not true. It's not going to work that way.
Yeah, it simply can't function as deterrent. One, because of the history of black folks' relationship with police force and the education system. It just doesn't work that way. There's a lot, you know, and when we talk about school violence, we shouldn't probably lump everything together. It's probably a broad range of violence that we need to talk about. I mean, obviously, there's gang violence, there's drug violence,